Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jump Up Supercast, the only podcast on the internet to be known as the Washington Podcast. I'm Will, and joining me this week, Brandon.
Yo, what's up, baby?
Ills.
Now with more processing power per pixel.
And Muzamil.
The only winner this week was Sony.
Oh my god.
What a spiteful tone to start the podcast with.
Look, this is the same shit people did last year during E3 when it was like the only winner was Sony because they didn't show up. And
I'm already tired.
Once again, Nintendo, Microsoft did something in the same week, and the winner is Sony.
The layup's right there.
That's the lesson in life, everyone. Sony always wins. They just bake it in, okay? This is how the world works.
These people that are really like this, though, God, they make me so tired.
Yeah.
Go to hell.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess we can get to the news. We can talk about this beforehand, right? So there was obviously a presentation from Xbox this week and from Nintendo on a smaller scale. Quite literally
much smaller scale.
But I would say, so far, this next gen hype up cycle, has been the most, even keel of the last couple, right? We were in the middle of no used games debacle last go around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say the 180 had happened around this time last gen.
Yeah. Then before that, we were at $599 US,
Yeah. I feel like you saying even keel is like a nice way of saying bad.
No, not bad.
No,
it's just I think both of them are actually doing a good job. No one's effing up, is the way I would phrase it. Right?
Yeah, I am genuinely excited for both systems right now.
Yeah.
But because of that, the console wars feel even more dumb than they normally do.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what are we getting mad over, right? It's a very, there's nothing, because always, you can always hide it under I'm going to be harsh, you can hide your fanboyism under the veneer of consumer rights advocation, right? I'm not a Sony fanboy. I'm just standing up for consumers by buying my PS4 over the Xbox One, right? And vice versa, right? When I buy the 360,
there are people who said that.
That was a thing last gen, that was definitely a thing.
Why do people associate with all these garbage?
I mean, that's just how, look, you cannot, just being on the internet, you're gonna see these takes, okay? They're all over Twitter, they're all over the forums, it's just you can't avoid it.
I feel like you should have learned that the internet is bad.
Yeah, but unless you're completely hermiting yourself away from the internet, of everything, any comment section of any website, you're not getting away from these people. These people are showing up, they're crawling out everywhere.
We can't all be you, Ills, okay?
I admire Ill's ability to avoid bad things, honestly.
I want to know what people like me are thinking.
Are you saying these people are like you?
No, I'm saying there's people out there that I want to know their opinion, but to see their opinion, I have to shift through the fucking shit, And
you gotta find those kernels of corn in the poop.
Exactly, you gotta do it. So that's
a lot of poop sometimes.
It's what I'm willing to deal with, but unfortunately, you see it.
So that is to say, we had some video game conferences this week.
We also have our own takes. We're not here to just talk about other people's takes. We have our own takes. Believe it or
Will
not.
they be hot?
That's next week's Devolver Digital. Next year's Devolver Digital. It's just takes on the takes on the takes.
Yeah.
But our own thoughts on the Xbox Game Showcase, right? This one, hey man, we've been hyping it up for a little bit. They've been hyping it up for a little bit, right? We had the Inside Xbox back in May. That was fraught, I would say. And I would say presentation-wise, immediately, this was a big step up. Phil Spencer wasn't recording with a webcam he bought in 2005, which was good.
But presentation-wise, huge step up. It was as good as I felt about the PS5 conference in terms of
I would say as far as digital presentation, the best one Xbox.
Best one by far, right? If you want to compare it to fucking Xbox conferences in the past that are not their E3 conferences, Jesus fuck. You could combine every Inside Xbox and this was better than that. Because Inside Xbox just sucks.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Yeah. And Xbox, they started out. They said, "Hey guys, we're doing Halo. You're gonna see Halo. Hey guys, you heard about this game? It's called Halo." They start with a certain game called Halo, and this was the this is I would say the only extended gameplay demo of the conference. Really, right? There were trailers that had gameplay, but this was the one you're getting it.
Yeah,
and it was about 10 minutes.
I mean, it was a good trailer, but the fact that the rest of the conference didn't have any, as much, sad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they put their own time limit on it, because, like, I would say that a lot of games probably, I don't know if they're to that point, but they probably would have got gameplay trailers if one, this was an E3 thing, and two, if they had like more of a time, because I think they wanted to cram as much as possible, and they only gave themselves an hour for some reason.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they could have gone longer. I don't know. Halo looked good, though. I think, like...
I agree.
I know, okay, right now, the biggest thing being talked about is the graphics, right? And I think the graphics are... Like, is this the big next-gen showpiece like Ratchet & Clank was? No. I can affirmatively say no. But what was there... I think it looked good. The art style, I think, is very nice. The music is very evocative of...
They want you to think of the opening of Halo 1 hard when you get
it.
Looks
a whole lot like Halo 1.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
Like classic Halo. For me, I was like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, that excites me, right? Because I don't like Halo 4, I don't like Halo 5, right?
Yeah,
and
this is the Halo I like.
But gameplay-wise, it's not just like we're going back to Halo 1, right? We are evolving, we're changing, we're doing a semi-open world type of thing, right? We saw waypoints. Combat is evolved.
Because they also brought, I brought back the right verbiage, but they're like, here's a grunt, here's an elite, here's a brute. Okay,
yeah.
You're not seeing a lot of these new weirdos that are in 4 and 5.
Thank God.
The guy at the end is basically saying we're just trying to bring back the Covenant, right? They're sort of doing that.
But were the brutes a mistake? Because that's what everyone's pointing at on Twitter. Everyone's looking at the brutes and laughing because they're so ugly. But
brutes are ugly
fine.
in general.
They didn't look that much different than before. I don't know. Whatever.
They're supposed to look ugly,
Like, no, they're just ugly. Like, they're not good character models.
I know what you mean. I think it's a joke.
But the sort of the thing that is being shown as sort of the difference maker is Halo known for being level based, right? That's being thrown to the wayside for a more open world design, right?
Weird. I don't know how much I like that, but we'll see.
Yeah, they the way they describe. In their press release, it has day-night cycles. There's blah, 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 a lot of different things that they discuss about in the press release if you're interested. But sort of the illustration they did here was there are 3 aircraft anti-air things you have to hit. But the way that you're able to suddenly make a Halo map that's way more vertical than you're used to is this grappling hook that you use throughout the thing, right? And Master can pull himself up, he can pull items to him, he can pull himself to enemies, right? And sort of that's how there seemingly is going to be a lot of vertical traversal. I imagine other things will be added with time, right? To sort of change the way that you're progressing. But I think that's an interesting decision because Halo... hardcores have actually had a lot of issue with too much traversal options in more recent Halo games, right? Sprinting, very contentious among the Halo community.
Yeah.
And so I think it'll be interesting to see how they balance that sort of mix, right? Because Halo
was he also
isn't
sliding. Sorry,
I didn't see slide. I didn't see.
Felt like he was like doing like mini slides, but maybe I was just imagining that.
I think Halo kind of has always had like a little bit of like a sticky homing attack, right? You sort of like lurch forward, like if you're close to somebody. When you're
when like he was like not when he was fighting anybody, like when he was going up like ramp. I don't know, whatever.
Oh, maybe I don't know, maybe. But I think that'll be interesting. Here's a question. So, how do you feel about? Brandon said you already a little bit of concerns maybe about the open world, right? But what do you think? Like, obviously, Halo has been. On a downward trajectory, right? For a while. Do you think that this is like a shot in the arm that you're interested in, or?
Yes.
For sure. I mean, so the way I would put it, like, Halo 4 and 5 completely obliterated my faith in this franchise, right?
Wow.
It is what it is. But Halo Infinite, so far, what I've seen, I'm like, I think the best way to put it, and I think this is the way I've been since the first trailer, is cautiously optimistic, right? They are trying new things. They're trying to evolve Halo, right? And that could be good, that could be bad. I don't know, but they're trying something new, and that's exciting, right? Trying something new while also trying to stay closer to the spirit of Halo, right? At least aesthetically, right? And you know, grappling hooks are always fun, without fail. Grappling hooks, good.
Yeah, I mean, I like the meat hook a lot in Doom Eternal. Is one of the new things they added that I liked in that game, so that was cool.
Yeah,
and it seems to be like a more versatile version of that. So
yeah, it's just
Bulletstorm got a good grappling hook.
Bulletstorm
thing, but yeah,
same idea, kind of.
But yeah, so you know, gameplay wise, I'm actually really excited for this, and I think this game looks really good in motion. They're targeting 4K 60, and if you go back and look at if you're not watching it with Twitch compression, it's so much better.
Yeah,
right. I think the 60 FPS. I mean, 60 FPS Halo is a relatively new thing, right? Still, and so you know, a semi-open game that is still targeting 60 FPS is, I would say, pretty impressive, right? Even if it's not the most graphically impressive game in the world, right?
Yeah, I mean, this game started development on Xbox One, right?
And it shows.
And yeah, it's a cross-gen game.
Yeah.
We probably won't be getting that solely for next gen. Look at our, you know, big old peener with our graphics, right? Game for till 2022. You know, really.
So they're working on Halo Infinite though, and I think what they said after the conference was also interesting, right? Because they're saying Infinite implies it's a platform, apparently.
Yes, they said that they probably won't. That right now they think they're not going to release another Halo game on Series X. Right. This will be it. So they're just going to be adding stuff to this game. How? I don't know.
Which makes sense in a way, because they said they would be adding new stories to Infinite as time goes on, right? It will be constantly getting updates. And I think in a lot of ways that makes sense to me, because if you think about it, with Game Pass, right? Normally, before Game Pass, you make a sequel because you want 10 million more $60 sales, right?
Yeah.
But people will be subscribed to Game Pass no matter what now, right? So the calculus changes a little bit, where, okay, well, we could just update Infinite. I do hope that if they are updating Infinite, if this game truly is being held back by Xbox One, I hope they drop Xbox One at some point, right?
Yeah, I mean, actually, you saying this actually gives me a decent amount of hope for what they could continually add, because I look at Halo Master Chief Collection and what it was like when it launched, and to what it is now, and all the work that 343's put into it, and they've done a fucking fantastic job at making that game just incredibly better since it launched. So,
yeah, I mean, a Master Chief Collection,
I think, would be really cool.
Because Master Chief Collection is now the definitive way to play those games, right?
Yeah.
And it was not at launch, let me tell you. But using Master Chief Collection is also a bit of a warning to me also, though. This game, on day one, though, still has to be at least an 8.5. You know what I'm saying?
Hopefully it's not as much of a disaster as the Master Chief Collection was when it came out.
The campaign needs to be really good. The multiplayer needs to be really good. From day one. You know, it cannot be in a couple years it'll be good. No, this, especially because this is the launch game, right?
Yeah. I would think that I have decent hopes, because I don't think they're going to make the same mistake twice. At least I hope they don't, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I do, 343 clearly has done some soul searching, right?
Yeah.
What that amounts to, we'll see.
Yeah, I think what you're selling me on is that I should just wait until this game is more complete than anything else. I don't if you're saying it's going to be like a platform and they're going to keep updating it. I mean, just wait 5 years until.
No, but the updates is for extra content, for more stuff. They say more stories, right? So that means more campaigns. So what normally would have been Halo Infinite 2, right? You're just going to get as a media expansion now, right? That's at least how I envision it. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe the game's just shipping unfinished. I don't know.
I'm fine with that. I'm just saying, I'd rather play it all together.
Yeah.
So what do you have to lose? I mean, you can play it on Game Pass, and then maybe in like a year they add more stuff, and you can go back.
Yeah, because regardless, I will be subscribed to Game Pass this November. I will be subscribed to Game Pass next November, right? So when I play it, to me, it doesn't matter that much. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, I will play it day one, and I will also be there for the updates, assuming I like Infinite.
Ozzy,
that's the question.
I want to thank you forever for bringing to attention that after E3 last year, that Game Pass deal where you could upgrade your Game Pass $1.
Yeah.
Because now I have Game Pass through 2023, and man, does it feel
It feels good, right? It's like, I think that was kind of the undercurrent of this whole showcase. We'll talk about it more at the end, I guess. But like, man, just knowing that like I don't have to pay for any of these games, that feels good, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Halo Infinite, I'm excited. I hope it's good. I'm also scared. These are my emotions.
You're invested in investment inquiry. You know, it means that you could be heard at the end of it. State of Decay 3 was the next thing they showed off, which was trailer. There's zombie deer. Watch out. Now, State of Decay.
Revenge.
He's here. He's afraid. We're afraid of him, I guess I should say. State of Decay is like secretly a big deal, right? Like, State of Decay.
It's like I was gonna say it's like a quiet beast. Like I feel like it does numbers, but I just never hear anybody.
I mean, 10 million players is nothing to scoff at, right? For State of Decay 2. So State of Decay 3 is objectively a big deal. I just could not care less.
Yeah.
I want to care. I want to care. Like I said, nobody in my life ever talks about it. So like, should I care? Is it a good game? I must be. I feel like.
Yeah, I don't care. For
I mean, I think it's sort of like Sea of Thieves, right? Sea of Thieves is secretly the biggest new IP of this generation in terms of sales,
which is mind-boggling.
Which is crazy, right? Like,
yeah, it is crazy.
Because it technically has, I think, well, we don't know exactly because of the way the Game Pass works, right? But just using reasonable guesstimations, it's done as well as Horizon, if not better than Horizon, right? Yeah. Which is the other big new IP of this gen. And you're like, man, you know, Horizon, it closes the show and everyone's like, oh, obviously, right? Sea of Thieves 2 closes the show and I think people would have been like, what? Right?
I mean, so like, I'm guilty of this as well, but I think that enthusiasts just see single-player games as a big deal and multiplayer games as kind of whatever, right? And I literally just did that, right? I was like, Cedric, oh, yeah, right? Or 3, right? But like, I think that single-player games just get more prestige, right?
Well, there's also just the experience of finishing versus not finishing a game, right? Like, the clear, concrete endpoint of like, okay, now I move on to the next thing because we are people that anticipate and play a lot of games a year versus... You know, Sea of Thieves, I think, has quietly been like the second winner of COVID behind Animal Crossing, right? Because that's just a game where you hang out with your friends, and like a lot of people suddenly see a lot of value in a virtual space that is very conducive to just hanging out, you know?
For
sure. But anyways, so we had a lot to say about State of Decay without actually having a lot to say about State of Decay. Forza showed up next, and it was just like, hey guys, it's shocker, Forza still going.
Well, they have a nice helmet.
I think there is a little bit to talk about here, actually, though.
There is. I was gonna say the thing at the end, though. I think it's interesting because Forza's not going to be there at launch, seemingly, right? Which is actually smart because this gen Forza was there at launch in a pretty unfinished state, right? Yeah. But instead, they're doing what they're doing with a lot of games, including Sea of Thieves, which is that they're doing Series X enhancements for some of their biggest Xbox One games, and that includes Forza Horizon 4, which.
I'm very excited to play Forza Horizon 4, but with less loading times, and it's even prettier. You know? That is very exciting. No, but Forza Motorsport, though, I actually did have a take on Forza Motorsport, believe it or not. Okay. Because if you go with the normal Forza, like, development cycle, right? This game would have been out last year. Forget this year. Last year. Right? Mm-hmm. They skipped last year. They're skipping this year. Seemingly, probably will launch holiday 2021, right? And they're just calling it Forza Motorsport. So it kind of feels like this is going to be the one motorsport game for the entire generation. I guess much like Halo Infinite, right? This is just going to be like Forza Motorsport. This is it for the gen. They're just going to update this game more and more and more and more. And I think that's the better way to do Forza because like the Horizon games, they deserve to get sequels because they're new locations and all that stuff, right? Motorsport though, like, I mean, I'm not the one to talk about it because I don't play racing games, but like, what really is different between one entry to the next, right?
Yeah.
So, like, this is the perfect, like, turn this into a games as a service, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that we heard 10 years ago, right? When games as a service that was first being pitched to us was like, racing and sports games, instead of having to spend $68 a year, you can just get the new roster and the new tracks, right? You know, a new car comes out, they just patched in the game. And then, like, all these companies are like, actually, we like getting $60 a year, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that's like a fucking, if you play sports games, that's the dream, right?
Yeah.
But because of Game Pass, it allows this to actually happen for Forza Motorsport, right? And I think that is interesting.
Following up right behind that was Everwild, which was another trailer. I don't know what the
Please
fuck Everwild is.
Explain it to me, Will. Explain it to me right now.
Well, you do a dance. It kind of looks like you're doing bending from Avatar, The Last Airbender. And you hang out with a frog that barfs up its babies. And then you resurrect a deer, and then a deer god's like, hey, good job resurrecting this dead deer. And then you're playing Everwild.
Yeah, I know exactly what I'm playing.
Wow.
It looks very good.
I mean, Everwild is the thing that...
I mean, something looks good.
Yeah,
it is.
It's a very pretty game.
Everwild is frustrating to me because this is the game I'm probably most interested in, but I don't know what it is, right? But, like, the atmosphere of this game, the look of this game, they're just nailing all of that, right? It is a game that, like, draws me, but I want to know what it is, and I feel like this was the showcase to show me what it is, because you already did a teaser trailer about 10 months ago.
I don't know why they did the initial trailer for this.
Yeah,
I think that a little bit of the impact of the show was sort of lessened by the fact of, hey, they've been doing these EXO events so often, they sort of have to have something new every time, right? And so you can look at, like, Grounded and Everwild and at a few other games and be like, you know, if they were just, like, part of this conference, I think they would have been like, oh, that looks neat, right? Yeah. But instead, it's sort of like these known quantities and like, okay, well... But, like, you know, Everwild, like, I'm down for a new IP that's this colorful and this pretty, right? And, like, it just looks so interesting. I just have to know what the game plays like. That I really want to know what it plays like.
Yeah, same. Because they already got me with everything else. I just need to know if it actually would be a fun game to play.
They have our curiosity. Now we just want them to have our attention. Then they had another trailer for Tell Me Why, which is console exclusive.
They're publishing
the Don't Nod
right?
game.
That is, they're publishing it themselves, right? Xbox Game Studios.
Yeah,
which is great because it's on
Game Pass.
And it's coming out August 27th, right? If you don't remember, this is the Don't Nod game, which is the people that made Life is Strange, and their whole thing is in this game is you're recalling the memories of you and your sibling growing up, and you sort of have to decide what version of history do you want to remember, right? And sort of a lot of, and obviously I'm sure it'll go places, right? They're doing the chapter based format again. Hopefully it won't be quite as long in between them as it was for Life is Strange 2.
I mean, it sure looks very similar to Life is Strange.
Yes, it
does.
Which I like Life is Strange a lot, so that's not a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. Then they had an update for Ori is getting a patch along with, like I said, the other games. Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which just came out earlier this year, right? Updating it to 120 FPS for Series X, and also lower latency using that tech to improve the overall game feel is what they mostly were focusing on, right?
That would be nice because it took forever to load that fucking map.
Yeah,
I know.
Power that SSD, baby. It's gonna be nice. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of good games to play day one that are going to be enhanced for Series X, right?
Yeah, I'm excited about that because I haven't got around to playing that yet. No. So now it's just like I'm just gonna wait.
And like I don't have to pay for these games once again. Like I know people are like, man, people talk about Game Pass so much, but like I'm gonna be able to play Forza Horizon 4, Gears 5, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and Sea of Thieves, and Halo Infinite all on day one. They will all look like, they're all optimized for Series X, right? And that's 5 quality fucking games. Well, I don't know if Halo Infinite's quality yet, but you know, that's 5 really good games that you just come with my system essentially, right? Like I'm not paying anything extra. I just gotta buy the box, and I don't even have to buy the box. So I can buy it on PC or whatever. But the fact that they're optimized for Series X is just like, you know, exciting to me. Like they're gonna take advantage of the SSD. They're gonna look really pretty. They're gonna run at really high frame rates. Right? Like, the Series X will be more powerful than the PC I have right now, right? And so maybe I just want to get that. I don't know.
Yeah, mine too, so.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like part of the problem is that we've seen most of these games already, though.
Yes.
I mean, it's good that they're getting optimized, but it's...
Well, yeah, I get that. Like, it's not exciting, right? It is not an exciting thing. Yeah. There's not something, like, you can be like, yeah, look we have Ori. But for me, someone who is very interested in Ori but hasn't played it yet, it is just as a personal thing for me.
But I mean for everybody else. Anybody.
No. Yeah, I'm not saying this is a thing that sells the console or anything, right? But like, I'm very excited for it personally, though, you know?
No, I mean, I think there's 2 different ways it could go. Because I think that there is a chance, I mean, the Xbox One we know, like it's done okay hardware-wise, right? But it hasn't done gangbusters, right? The Series X, I think there's a chance that a lot of sort of the Xbox One's best games could sort of very quickly, you know how like a lot of Wii U games actually found their life on the Switch, right? I think that there could be a lot of people that suddenly are trying Ori for the first time if they get a new Xbox, right? Which I think will be nice to get them, they could play the best version of it, right? But like you said, if you're a person that's sort of like the Wii U, if you've been here throughout this generation and you've been playing these games, you know, it's neat that they'll be enhanced, but it's not like it's like a huge selling point, right?
Yeah.
And also, we kind of already knew about these games, so...
Yeah. Because they have just promised all these enhancements, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of enhancements, they're adding an expansion to the Outer Worlds, Peril on Gorgon, excuse me.
Yeah.
Right. Which is interesting because this was actually one of 3 different games that Obsidian had at this conference, which is pretty wild.
Obsidian was there for quite a bit of this conference.
They're busy.
Which I mean, I think it looks like more Outer Worlds, right? Which I liked Outer Worlds a lot last year. So
it definitely does look like more Outer Worlds.
So,
which is a good thing. It's a good game.
So the press release said this was so you can either buy you can buy the Peril on Gorgon, right? Or you could buy an expansion pass that'll package both adventures for an extra 10% off. So I guess there's a second big DLC pack coming after this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
what
it sounded like.
You could buy... this is a DLC. You can't buy and play this game separately, correct?
Yeah, this is a DLC. Though Outer Worlds is on Game Pass.
Yes, but this is not on Game Pass.
This is not... Yeah, the DLC is not going to be on Game Pass, though. Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Which is weird. I mean, Fallout has had really strong DLC packs, right? Because they all had like good like gimmicks, right? Just good scenarios, basically. So hopefully that continues here. But then Grounded sort of got a re-unveil, I guess. It looks, maybe my memory's just weird, but I think it looks markedly better than it did before, right? If you don't remember what it is, it's a game where you're Honey I Shrunk the kids, basically, right? It's a survival game, so you're building bases, you're collecting resources, other things like that. But the things you're fending off, rather than like zombies or anything, is like giant spiders and giant ants and other freaky things.
Well, I mean, this game is kind of funny because I think it is the least exciting game in the world, right? In just terms of like, I mean, it's a very weird concept, right? I mean, it's a co-op adventure, like survival game, but like with giant bugs. But they kind of play on that with the trailer, right? They're like, you know, if you're excited for the biggest game in the world, would you play Cyberpunk? Cyberpunk's coming this year, but
that was good.
But the beta actually was fairly recently, and the impressions were surprisingly positive. And so people who played this game are like, hey, this is good. And so that's interesting, right? Good for them. Yeah, like, this is not what you wanted from Obsidian, but they can make small games, especially because they announced a really big one after that. But
it looks neat. I want to give it a try. I really do.
I mean, it's on Game Pass, right? So
the game preview will be going live on the 28th. So actually, pretty close. Yeah.
If you guys want to play it, I am down.
Sure. Then hey, you got one more thing, guys. We're shooting a big arrow in the sky, and it's a game called Avowed, right? And there's not much besides, hey, Obsidian is seemingly making a real big budget RPG, right? We've had this reported that, this is going to be probably their biggest game they've made to date, and looks a little bit like Skyrim. looks
a lot of bit like Skyrim. I mean, that's exciting though, right? Like, I mean, first of all, Elder Scrolls 6 is fucking, who knows when that's coming out, right? Because they haven't even started on that game still, right?
Yeah, we saw whatchamacallit down the line.
Yeah, they still have to make Starfield or whatever. And then once they finish that, then they can start making Elder Scrolls. So Elder Scrolls 6 is probably coming out in at a minimum 6 years from now, right? But Avowed...
Which is insane. Huh? Which is insane. Skyrim was 2011. Just a friendly reminder.
Yeah. It's gonna be it is crazy, like, the gap that it's going to be between Skyrim and Elder Scrolls 6 for how successful Skyrim was. But, Obsidian making their take on Skyrim, which Obsidian is known to make quality games, right? Quality games that just tend to have, more than anything, budget problems.
Yes.
Right? But now you're saying Obsidian gets the full backing of Microsoft with, and they even said straight up, like, hey, because there was a Game Industry article that was like, asked a bunch of Xbox game studios what's changed since they got bought out by Microsoft, right? And Obsidian just straight up was like, hey, we're gonna have access to, like, all of Microsoft's QA testers. Right? So it's like, they're finally able to ship a game that will have the polish of a first party game, right? And the scope is not at all affected by their budget because they can do whatever the hell they want. That's just inherently exciting. Like, this is I think this is the kind of thing people were looking for when they heard about all these acquisitions Microsoft is doing, right? Mm-hmm. We'll see how it delivers. We'll see how the gameplay looks, all that. But, like, on paper, this game is very, very promising.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're treating them well. And that's what you want to see.
Yeah. And speaking of sort of that, new studios, new things, that they're letting them try new things. Right after that, they had As Dusk Falls, which is a interactive drama is how they pitched it, right? Like, and it sort of looks like almost a graphic novel in presentation.
Yeah, I liked this a lot. When I saw this, I said to myself, I was like, this kind of reminds me of Hotel Dusk.
Sure.
Which, I mean, funny enough, they both have Dusk in the title, but it reminds me of that. Like, all the characters are like these like hand-drawn portraits.
Yeah.
I mean, this is obviously a lot more detailed. Like, I don't know. I really like the idea of this, the look of this game. I mean, I assume the whole game is like that,
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's very cool. It's got my attention, so I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have positive. I don't know. It looked fun.
Yeah, I
feel like it's one of those games that's like, I'm interested, but also like it's a game that's entirely carried by its story, And so it's like, if Brandon, you might be the canary in the coal mine. Be like, if Brandon's like, hey, the story was good, I'll be like, sure.
Yeah. And then it's once again on Game Pass, so he's the barrier to try it is not high, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a sucker for an adventure game with a good style and a look. So, this is a game that you bet your ass I'm going to play it. So,
yeah. Ninja Theory took a trip to Iceland, and that's basically all they had to say for Hellblade 2.
Okay, can I rant about this a little bit? Because, this is the game that they showed when they unveiled the console, right? They unveiled the console, and then they announced Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga, right?
Yeah.
And then they told me 7 months later they couldn't show us something new, right? Like, come on, guys. Like, this is an exciting game. Like, Hellblade, except once again, like the Obsidian thing, they're not shackled by budget anymore, right? They can do whatever they want with Hellblade. I think this game is very exciting, but then they just kind of like, hey, here, we went to Iceland. Like, what? Why show it off this way?
Check out our
travel log.
Why'd you give us like a fucking release year or something? God.
I mean, so they said it's on Unreal Engine 5, right? So that's cool and all. But then, so I also think though this game is clearly going to be a graphical showpiece, right? Like, I 100% think this game is going to be gorgeous. I just wish we got to see that.
Yeah. Didn't they say initially that it was like a launch window game?
No, they didn't say anything about it. They just unveiled it with the console. I guess the thought is...
Are you sure?
No, I'm 100% sure. Yeah. They just... The thought was, because... I think people just assumed because it was unveiled with the system that it would be somewhere near the system, but it's not.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we're making that mistake even with these presentations, right? Like, it should be noted, a lot of these games are holiday 2020 at the earliest, 2021 at the earliest. You know, like, you know, it's just they're both sort of showing their hands for the next 3 years, essentially, right now, right?
Yeah.
But a game that I do expect to be relatively early on in the lifespan of the console is Psychonauts 2, which got a trailer featuring the one and the only Jack Black, Jablinski Games himself. And
really thought for a second when I saw Double Fine Jack Black, I was like,
I was like,
is it happening?
Brutal Legend 2, is it happening?
Did you see what shirts Tim and Jack were wearing?
Oh.
No, I didn't. Were they wearing Brutal Legend?
They were wearing Brutal Legend shirts, and he points at it.
You know, maybe.
Wow, what a team.
Maybe it is happening. But
if this is the Sean Layden theory, then it's happening. You know.
I mean, it's pretty.
You know, that was kind of my take. I would say Psychonauts is a game with the original one with a look, but I would describe it as a kind of grody look. Everyone has like kind of ugly faces, you know, not intentionally so in a lot of ways. But looking at this, it's just like, oh no, like actually, I didn't realize how much the resolution was holding that game back. Right, like Res looks good, like the dreams look good, and I was really impressed with it, honestly. It became a real thing in my brain, you know, rather than just like, oh, Psychonauts 2 is happening eventually. It's like, oh no, I'm very excited to play Psychonauts 2. You know,
that's what they really wanted it to go to your brain, you know, that's what they were going for.
It's true.
And that's another game that people are like, oh, well, Psychonauts 2 would have existed anyway, right? But like, I mean, you know, when you have Tim Schafer straight up saying, hey, we cut out a bunch of bosses from the game, but then Microsoft bought us out and we suddenly had a bunch of money, and we were like, actually, we should put those bosses in, right? Yeah. and because of that, the game got delayed another year, right? But that also means Psychonauts 2 is going to be the best product it possibly could be. And that's exciting. I'm happy that's a thing, exciting. You know?
Double Fine's another company that has been fraught frequently with, like, you see the idea, but you see where the money ran out, right? And
with Psychonauts 2, they will not have that issue. And it's great to see that in a game that is, like this game would have been a worse product had Xbox not bought it, right? Sure. So, you know, cool.
Yeah. Then they had a brief little thing. Hey, Game Pass is happening, and sort of the announcement they had in the conference itself was Destiny 2 and all expansions are coming, including the new expansion this holiday, which is Destiny has gone free to play, right? But all the expansions weren't, essentially, right? So this is, I mean, I think Destiny 2 is up to 10 expansions now, right? So this is a lot. There's a lot of video game just with this one thing, right? And I think it's cool that it's also getting Series X enhanced. And then the other announcement they had is that Dragon Quest XI S is coming to other platforms, including Xbox, and on Game Pass day 1 in December.
That's a beefy game available on Game Pass.
Collectively, that might be 500 hours of video games just among those.
Yeah, I mean, Destiny 2, getting all the expansions on Game Pass is actually like a very big deal. I know people are like, oh, Destiny, old game, whatever, right? But I mean, first of all, the new expansion is not an old thing, right? That's a brand new thing, and it will be on Game Pass day 1, right? When it comes out this November. And if you look at the Steam charts, Destiny 2 is constantly in the top 10 played games. Still, right?
Yeah.
So Destiny 2 is so getting all of that content, all those expansions that is easily at least $100 worth of content that you would normally have to pay for, you just get it with Game Pass, right? It's like, I think an undercurrent amongst a lot of these Xbox shows, every time I hear people say right before it, this is the one where they have to prove themselves, where they have to beat Sony, where they have to do this and that, right? And none of that stuff ever happens, right? But yeah. I think what has been an undercurrent amongst all these for the last 2 years is every single time I walk away feeling even better about my Game Pass subscription, you know?
Sure.
You feel good as a customer, which is something that you want.
Sure.
Also cool, this game's coming to PS4 finally. And Steam. I felt bad that like all these additions to Dragon Quest 11.
I don't, you sons of guns. There's a couple of catches. Seemingly, they're just keeping the Switch resolution, which, like, what? What?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you have the PS4 version, you're having to pay for the upgrade. It's not just like a patch.
Yeah, you have to pay the $60 again to get the game.
Son of a gun, there's no excuse now to not play one of the best RPGs of this generation.
Yeah, it's all good.
Put it on the list and pick it for me for next year. I'll play it on Game Pass.
Saf's not here, so we can't do that. Stalker 2 was up next, and I will be honest with you, I don't know what the deal with Stalker is.
What the hell is a Stalker?
So Stalker 1 is a cult
I was in
classic.
a call with a person who lost their freaking mind at Stalker 2.
Yeah.
So there's something for somebody.
Apparently, this is I was looking it up after that. Apparently, like it's like this huge cult. Not even that huge is not the right word, but it's a cult classic, right?
Okay.
And so there's a certain amount of people.
How old? What do you mean cult? Do you mean like old, or?
I like 2000. What was it? 6, something like that. Which I guess by now is old.
It's for the boomers,
Make me feel a little.
Yeah. So it's it came out in 2007. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
What's Stalker? A movie?
Stalker. It's a game.
Well, there's probably also Stalker probably is a name for a lot.
Well, yeah. But specifically, this is a sequel to the video game on the personal computer that came out in 2007.
Yeah. Then there was Warhammer 40k Dark Tide, which I think is a sequel to Vermintide, or they just both have Tide in the names. This trailer was just sort of like, it's a Left 4 Dead. It's a Left 4 Dead. Vermintide was apparently Left 4 Dead with rats. This is seemingly Left 4 Dead, but with zombies. Who could have thought of an idea like that?
So it is Left 4 Dead. I mean, it got Noah's attention when he was watching it. He was like, "Is this like Left 4 Dead?"
The answer's yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
People love Vermintide. Actually,
I've heard. Yeah, I've heard. So this is just a sequel to Vermintide, I guess.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think it's still in the style of. Is my understanding.
Okay.
Then after that, hey, we're all connected, my friends. Tetris Effect Connected was announced, which is Tetris with a revamped campaign and a expanded multiplayer component, which is good because Tetris Effect I love Tetris Effect, but it had a good campaign in terms of like for the first time you're playing through it, right? But the multiplayer was pretty half-baked, I would describe it. So it almost like a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe opportunity for Tetris Effect, right? And suddenly it's going to also be coming to PC and to PS4 as well, but this is the first time it's on Xbox, so that's why it was in their conference.
Yeah, that's cool. At first I thought it was like I saw the guy with the Tetris jacket, and I was like, "Oh, Tetris!" And then it like looked like it was like the Windows logo when they did the block. And I was like, "It's just a fucking Microsoft."
Is Microsoft buying Tetris?
Then I saw the Tetris blocks, and I was like, "Oh, all right."
I see what's happening.
And then the music hit, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's Tetris Effect." Okay.
For all of our Nindy Showcase fans, you can see old Damon Baker in that video, the former head of Indies at Nintendo. The Gunk was up next, and this one caught me completely off guard. Last week, we talked about, on this podcast, Image and Form.
Yes.
We talked about, hey man, they've got us now, or whatever they're doing, we're interested in. Well, guess what? Now they're doing something, and I'm interested in
this.
All right?
Is my game of the show, okay? Like, I am so excited for this game. Image and Form, like I said, we talked about it last week. They have only made bangers, okay? Like, their output is so good. And also, so this is the first time they're making a 3D game, right? And it looks unbelievably good. I cannot believe these people only made 2D games before this. You know?
Looks really fucking
cool. Cool visual
You're
style.
sucking up Gunk.
It's cool. You know, it's just so cool. Also, the first time they're not using the SteamWorld name.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that it's not like affiliated with SteamWorld, but I'm sure it's going to be good anyway.
Yeah.
And the environments look a little bit like Journey to the Savage Planet, but a little bit darker.
I thought about Journey to the Savage Planet and Astroneer when I saw this game. Yeah. So I'm super interested in that. Then there was The Medium, which I'm still kind of like not sure how exactly it operates, but you're existing in two different universes at the same time. Both are being rendered at the same time, and they interact, and it's like a horror game, right?
I think this game was actually one of the more impressive games that we saw.
Look, yeah, it looked. I mean, this. We saw it at the last thing, right?
Yeah, but that was like a CG. I mean, not CG, but like we didn't see gameplay. Now we saw gameplay, and hey, it looks cool as shit, right?
It had my attention then, and now I'm just like, dude, this game looks fucking cool.
Yeah, I'm
actually really into this.
Yeah, so I mean that one's weird and neat. I'm excited for it. There's also right after that, PSO Fantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis, which for the entire trailer I was like, is this PSO 2? Is this a new game? Like, are they making a new PSO? What's happening?
The answer's both.
And it turns out it's both. They're as you described it, Moose, they're a realm reborning PSO2, right? Essentially, this is an update that's essentially also a rehaul of the entire game. That looks like the faces are bad, but the combat and running around, I was like, this looks cool.
Which begs the question: why in the flying fuck did they even bother giving us the original in English when a year later they're blowing it up? You know, kind of weird. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't know. Maybe
I don't know.
But anyways, I think that
I'm excited as fuck for this game, though.
Yeah, we're just going to be playing 5 MMOs in the year 2021. Please be excited. Right after that, Crossfire X. I didn't know this.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nexon, the company that make Crossfire X, which is a reminder, is a game that's huge in like Korea and in Asia just in general. One of the highest grossing games every year. We just don't know it exists. But they recently helped Remedy. They invested in Remedy, and part of the trade-off was Remedy, you can now make games who are known for things like Control and things like that, but you have to help us make the single-player component for Crossfire, and that's what this trailer was.
I saw their name in there, and I was like, huh. I knew about this game, but I didn't know Remedy was involved. But now that I know, I'm a little bit into it.
Yeah, and I think the trailer was pretty good. Like there was a lot of stuff. It definitely looked like a modern warfare type of campaign, but Remedy's good. They know how to make a good game, so hopefully
they know how to make a good shooter campaign.
Yeah. And then there one more thing, which I wish there was a little bit more to the one more thing, was Fable.
Yep.
And there's a little fairy. It's flying around. Gets eaten by a frog. Playground Games is making Fable, which we've known for the last year and a half. And now we know it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I like Fable a lot, so obviously I'm just like, yeah, I'm happy it's coming out. So here we are, but we don't fucking know shit.
We don't know anything about.
Yeah,
I mean, this is simultaneously like the most exciting and the most disappointing part of this entire thing, right?
Right,
because it's like,
it's like really happy to know about it, but I wish I could have seen something a little smidge.
Playground Games, who made the Forza Horizon games, making a Fable game, rebooting Fable, is inherently exciting, right?
Yeah, it's a good thing.
That is just exciting. The problem is, this leaked ages ago, and let's be honest, Microsoft knew that this leaked ages ago, right? So they should have prepared a trailer for this game with the knowledge that people already know that Playground is making Fable. Because what this trailer was, it was basically 15 seconds, right? Just to tell us that very sentence, right? That part we already know. You need to show us more than that. And so and it didn't even need to be gameplay. Because I thought that the Avowed trailer did a great job, despite not showing gameplay, did a great job of telling me what that game is. What that game is Skyrim 2. Right? Fable, I can kind of picture what Fable is looking like somewhat, right? But this is probably going to be an entirely new take on Fable, right? I assume that they're gonna go way more into like the open world aspect, all of that. But I would have liked to seen some proof of concept of that. Just some sort of like, tell me at least the direction that this game is going in. You know?
Yeah, something. I mean, I'm sure they're also gonna lean heavy into the whole, they'll probably evolve that system of making choices and how it affects
morality
your character.
Stuff. Yeah,
morality stuff, which is like the big thing around Fable. So,
but did you get any of that from the trailer itself?
Nothing. I got nothing.
Yeah.
Frog eats fairy.
Yeah.
There's a narrator,
and then All Star by Smash Mouth starts playing, and that's how you know it's a good game.
And like, I also think like I believe that this game will look like I believe this game will be a graphical showpiece, right? But they should have showed that. Yeah. And this game has been in development since September 2017, right? That's when this new studio was built up within Playground, right?
Yeah. They've
been working on the game for a while. I do not believe that they have nothing tangible to show yet. So they should have done more. And maybe the thought is we want to save some for later or whatever. I don't know, man. But they needed like a one more thing that's just a trailer reveal. Like, it just feels like what they were doing in the early this gen after like everything had settled, but they wanted to.
Here's Phantom Dust.
Yeah, here's Phantom Dust. Here's Scalebound. Right, like
here's Crackdown.
They did a lot of stuff like that this gen. I mean, even like, to be honest, if we look within the same franchise, like they announced Fable Legends stupidly early, right?
Yeah.
All three of those games have been canceled. I don't think this game will be canceled. But
yeah, and I do think that if this game is genuinely a year or two off, which it almost certainly is, right?
Yeah.
I do feel like I don't know. It's weird. It would have been weird to show gameplay and then disappear for 2 years. Yeah. It would give the impression that you're going to get it sooner than you are, right? Because I think that like both PlayStation and Xbox, and with Horizon 2 with Fable, right? And why does Horizon 2 but Fable doesn't work, but Fable doesn't? And I think the answer is because we understand what Horizon 2 is, right? Like, even if, it's a new environment and there'll be new aspects, we understand the baseline of what Guerrilla's Horizon Zero Dawn looks like, right? We don't know how to envision Playground's Fable, right? And that's I think the difference makes.
That's why I make the direct comparison with Avowed, right? You can picture, even though that's a new IP, you can picture what it looks like. I do not, in my brain, I don't know what this game looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I think Avowed, Everwild, and this all have a similar problem, though, right?
Yeah. Though I do. Like, that said, I do wish all three of those games showed gameplay, plus Hellblade.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you think that if E3 was held this year, would those games have had gameplay,
no.
Maybe not trailers at the presentation, but on the gameplay floor that we would have been able to...
Definitely not.
I think there might have been behind the scenes for Fable. I think there might have been for that, right? But I don't think the other two.
No, I think this is just what Microsoft does, though. Like,
well, no, I think because even games like Cyberpunk, right? Like there's still that thing of we were willing to show things to games press, but aren't willing to show the public because they look rough, right? There might be problems. But yeah, I don't. I mean, but that's a good. I
don't know. It just feels like Xbox loves to announce games super, super, super early, right? And to an extent, they have to, right? Because they have to prove that we are. Xbox Game Studios is a thing that we are completely committed to. We want to be a big first-party publisher, right?
Yeah.
And so they have to prove that, right? And so that's why they have to announce all these games. But if you're going to announce these games, make sure you have something tangible with them. Because just names and titles and concepts, that's not good enough,
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the problem. I mean, you sort of get leeway at the start of a gen, no matter what, right? If you feel like people want to see a roadmap, right? But like, I mean, it's worth mentioning, like, the two launch games this fall are Halo Infinite and Spider-Man Miles Morales. And that's basically it.
Yeah.
Right, for first party, for both. And both of them are either a game that's currently also launching on last gen at the same time as started development on last gen systems, or is a pseudo sequel to a last gen game, right? And is taking the same map and sort of just enhancing that base template that they had before. And I think that I've seen some people hand-wring about that, but I think that sort of is how console launches tend to go, right? Like that's sort of where, that's just, I think, the natural way that these things play out. But it's how confident do you feel walking out, right? It's almost a magic trick, right? Sony has as few dates as Microsoft has, right? But Sony was better at presenting that, oh, when these games come out, I'll like them when they do come out, right? Microsoft, I don't think they did quite as good a job of that. And I think that's the difference maker between these two presentations. I think they were both good, right? I think they were both pretty good, actually, right? But I think that to me is the biggest thing I look at and I say that you could work on, and it's like you said,
and like,
it ties into
and you could say this isn't fair or it is or whatever, but I think inherently Microsoft had higher expectations, right? Because they just have more to prove,
Yeah.
And they didn't deliver on that front, I think. I don't think this is the make or break conference, right?
No.
And I personally really liked this conference, right?
Yeah. I did too.
But, it's just and I feel like we're gonna keep hearing this until the damn console launches of, Xbox just has to prove that they can keep up with PlayStation, and I don't know if they've done that yet.
I think that there is the risk of losing the forest for the trees in that conversation. Right. Which is we've talked for the last 2 years about how Xbox has successfully, through a lot of its wider decision making on the business side of things with Game Pass and other things, has there's now a use case for everyone, right?
Yeah.
I think that's still true even before and after this conference exists. There is a clear use case for moves, even though obviously your presentation, right, your thoughts on this presentation, and you're getting a Series X at launch, you're not getting a PS5.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's a decision, and that's a decision that is being as a result of 6 months before, years before a decision by Microsoft, right? So I think that it'll be interesting. I don't want to just excuse the presentation, but like you said, I don't think it's make or break, and I think it'll be interesting to see the Game Pass era of Microsoft enter a new generation, right? Because it was still building off the cracked foundation of the Xbox One launch this go around, right? Mm-hmm. And I think they did a lot to rehab their image, but you can look at the numbers and see that it didn't change the tide of anything, right? Yeah. And I think that they sort of looked at that and said, hey, maybe we're not going to try to go head to head in that way. Maybe that's just a game we don't want to compete in anymore. In the same way that Nintendo threw up their hands and said, hey, we're not trying to do graphical showcases, right? Xbox is throwing up their hands and saying, we're not going to try to do The Last of Us 2 huge tentpole releases that sell 10 million copies in a week, right? Yeah. Halo will do that, Forza will do that, but then we're also going to have Grounded and a bunch of other weird small games, right?
Yeah, it's a very diverse lineup from them, right? Xbox Game Studios, and I am excited for them as a publisher, and I'm especially excited for them as, for Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
But one other just quick note that I just thought was funny. Phil was really hammering in before this conference the idea that, hey, Xbox One owners, we still got you. Outside of Halo and Psychonauts.
Well, I want to. This is something that confused me because we both noted Xbox One was not at the bottom in a lot of these games.
Yeah.
But then it turns out the Medium didn't have it at the bottom, but the Medium is coming to Xbox One.
Okay.
So I don't know if actually there's a bunch of games that are still coming to Xbox One, but just they didn't stick them in the trailer for some reason.
Well, it's weird because they explicitly noted it with Halo and explicitly noted it with Psychonauts, right?
Yeah.
But Forza, which I don't think Forza's coming to last gen, no. Right?
No.
Then Obsidian's game, what is it? Avowed, right? Fable.
Yeah.
Yeah. State of Decay 3. I don't think any of those games are coming to Xbox One though, right?
Yeah.
And
well, they did always say within the first year or two of Series X, they would be coming over to Xbox One. Maybe just a bunch of these games are like, actually, they skipped that year window, so we're in the clear.
We're good. They're not coming out in 2021, so we owe you nothing.
Yeah. I will just have to say, there was another presentation this week. We'll just get to it, right? Because we went a little bit long on that one. But
hey, it's a
guys, you got
next gen reveal. You had to.
You got any thoughts on WWE Battlegrounds? There was a Nintendo Direct mini partner showcase. This is a new thing.
Yeah.
New thing from Nintendo, where it's a mini Direct, and it's only third party for announced games, right? They said there'll be more of these coming down the line, but I imagine this is the result of the COVID era. We can get to that more later down the line. But the things they had to show off, Cadence of Hyrule's getting updates to it. It's already had updates. And those include a pack with new characters, which are Impa, Shadow Link,
Shadow
Zelda, Cadence's mom, whose name I forget,
Arya,
and Frederick, who's the shopkeeper from Cadence of Hyrule and Necrodancer. Then another one which adds in a bunch of new songs, and then finally one that is a new scenario, new map, and you're playing as the Skull Kid. And it's based off Majora's Mask, seemingly.
You get to wear different masks.
Yeah. And this is... So Ills, you're a guy that loves Cadence, or that loves Necrodancer. You liked Cadence.
Both. I love both.
Yeah. But we had conversations before, I think, that because of sort of the lack of the roguelike nature, there is not the replayability aspect in Cadence that there is in Necrodancer, right? Do you feel like
Cadence felt a lot more straightforward? Like once I was done with it, like I was done.
Yeah. Do you feel like, because they've added the dungeon mode, right, which is essentially like emulating the roguelike, like just constantly doing levels, right? But when I tried it in Cadence, excuse me, there wasn't like enough variety to like the songs in particular, in my opinion.
Right.
How do you feel like this is the right stuff to add to sort of fill in those holes that you may have thought were there for Cadence?
I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna play it on like the harder difficulty. Like Arya is like one hit or one button press miss and you're dead.
Yeah,
I don't think that's for me. But the other characters maybe and Skull Kid. Yeah, I could definitely go back to play Skull Kid probably.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm gonna do it, but who knows.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's paid DLC, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
But the new campaign definitely interests me, right? The new map, with new story and all that. I'd definitely go back for that. I don't know how much I care about the new characters much, besides Skull Kid in that regard, right?
Sure.
But it's cool that they're adding them. New songs is definitely a great addition, though. Man, the soundtrack of Cadence of Hyrule is so good, right? And so them adding more is just exciting. And I think like the mix of new characters and new songs, I think definitely does make like the dungeon mode just a way better experience, right? Because there's just so much more to do with it now, right? But I'm just personally most excited for the new scenario. That'll be looking forward to going into that.
Yeah. Then besides that, Rogue Company's out now, so if you want to try it, have at it. This is why this conference had to happen that day, I think, is because like this is launching, we have to get this presentation out. Then after that, we're not talking about Battlegrounds.
Thank God.
There was a double dose of SMT. How about that? Which was the SMT5, which was the final piece of the puzzle of the Switch launch presentation.
Finally. God, they announced the game 4 years ago, almost. But it's finally it showed up again. Showed its face. It's coming. It's real. It's next year. And
the big surprise, I would say, is Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne is getting a remaster / I don't think remake's the right word, but this is
like a remaster,
which improved models, improved overall look of the game, and they're adding in a dub, right? But Nocturne, I think, is interesting because people swear by it. Like the hardcore SMT fans, which I guess you don't know what Shin Megami Tensei is. It's the thing that Persona span off of for most people. But
you fuck.
Yeah, it's fucked. But the no high school, right? Typically darker stories than Persona, right? And people love Nocturne story in particular. I hear a lot of people swear by. So the game is, I think, famously it can be hard. There can be difficulty spikes that are pretty sudden. So I wonder if they're going to change any of that or not, because I imagine it might piss off some hardcores if they do.
They added like a merciful mode.
Oh, that's nice, actually. Okay.
Yeah. So for babies, whatever.
Yeah.
For me,
for all you dumb babies out there, you can do that. So
I guess
there's going to be just so many ways to kill either God or the devil in the next year or so. So
can't wait.
I mean, I'm excited that S75 is going to come out simultaneously worldwide.
That is a huge deal, actually, because Atlas has made it a huge deal because they're so dumb.
Because Atlas is, I mean, fucking Persona 5 Royal is the same goddamn game with a little bit of new content, and it had the same exact delay that Persona 5 did, which makes no sense. The amount of writing they had to do for P5 versus P5 Royal, it has the same amount of delay, is just dumb, right? Just dumb. So finally, we can play an Atlas game, and Japan hasn't had it for half a year plus, you know?
Yeah, take that, Japan.
So that's very nice. Though Nocturne, we do have to wait 6 months.
Yeah. Which
also not featuring Dante.
Not featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series. Oh man,
the meme is dead.
Yeah. That one's coming to PS4 also, though, right? SMT5 is not.
Yeah.
But
yes.
Nocturne,
which seems to be the difference maker, as Nintendo's probably helping with the localization for 5, which is why it's probably worldwide.
Yeah.
Worldwide.
I'll play SMT5. The fact that they're both coming the same year makes me not want to get Nocturne, though. To be honest, I'm just like,
I'm probably getting both for sure.
Right. Yeah. I'll just wait for SMT5 personally. But I think people hyped as shit for Nocturne.
Yeah. Then there was 2 games that were in the Japanese Direct that were not in the English one, seemingly because their English trailers weren't ready.
It happens.
Which happens. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, which has finally got a date. Which, if you haven't seen this game, check it out. It's a cute game where you play as a little rice goddess and you're partially platforming, but the other time you're farming. Baby.
Hey, look,
let me tell you.
It was on Treehouse last year at E3, I think.
It was. And
it's like a Vanillaware game.
Sure. It's I hadn't thought about that. That's a good comparison. Because it's a 2D sort of almost platforming / brawler sort of deal.
Hey, 2 next-gen consoles may be launching in November, and Cyberpunk and all that, but Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, this is the game I'm most excited to play this November, okay? I'm here to say it for the record.
Clear it up. This is a 2-person development studio, which is, I think, pretty wild, too, and because it got delayed a couple times, dates weren't clear, and I was sort of like, oh, is it in problems? And then I looked it up, and the answer is no. They were like, we're just keep adding stuff, like... We keep being like, we should do this, and then they add a month under the development, like every so often. So that's, I think, that's the kind of stuff you like to hear, right? And then the type of stuff you like to see if you're if you're not like Smash Brothers, right? If you're not for good boys and girls, is Atelier Ryza 2, which is Atelier is a long-running series that is about like collecting resources, crafting, RPG.
Yeah.
And Ryza was the biggest one, right? They're titled after their main characters, right? And with Ryza, they increased the budget, so it looked better than previous Atelier games, which is to say probably a mid-budget Tales game. And they also gave her real big thighs, but, may have sold extra 50,000 copies.
Almost sold it.
They discounted the first game when they announced it, and they got me to buy it. I haven't played it yet, but I bought it.
I played it, not for the thighs, but there's
yeah, right.
Well, no, I like it because there's a secret hideout. I play it for the hideout.
I'm willing to admit it. If I buy that game, it's gonna be for the thighs. I'm coming for the thighs.
Oh my god. Okay, all right, Brandon. All right.
But I was gonna say, genuinely, the game is like, it's pretty fun. It's not like gonna knock your socks off, but it's a cozy game, right? It was wintertime. I was huddled up by the heater playing Atelier. I had a good time.
And sometimes that's all you need, just a cozy game. And this was a very, Atelier games have been around for ever. But, this one, it just did so much more than the other games, right? And so clearly something hit with it, right? And maybe it was just the increase in production values, maybe it was the thighs, I don't know. But this was very successful. So this getting a sequel is not surprising, but very cool, right?
Yeah. So there it is. That was the Nintendo Direct Mini. It was mini.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
It was mini.
So they announced it the night before, midnight Eastern time.
Oh.
And let me tell you, I had a meltdown because I was
I was there.
Cannot believe. I mean, well, because we don't have any more Nintendo games that we know about in 2020.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
So, I hope we get an announcement from Nintendo first party soon. Come on.
We will. Come on. Fingers crossed, at least. I don't know. I think
we're just getting a fucking trailer drop like we do.
I mean, maybe Nintendo. Who knows what they're doing these days?
The end result's the same, but because I think the reason I wasn't upset was because literally Paper Mario was 48 hours before.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, that game I love actually. I actually love Paper Mario, the Origami King.
Pretty fucking good.
So I was like, I'm actively playing a first party game, so I'm not that worried. But I get why people have been. It's been a long time since the last Direct. But that is all. We did it. Pray for Saf. He's added an hour and 10 minutes to this podcast, but that doesn't mean we're done because we still have to do the list. Follow along every week as we add more and more games to this ever-growing list of just nonsense. What number are we up to now?
200.
We're at an even 200. And what was the 200th game that was added?
Bust the Groove.
What was it? Bust the Groove.
And where did it get?
156.
And how could you know what your guys' thoughts were on it?
Listen to the game.
What the fuck?
Do it, dog.
You know the answer.
I don't.
I like this game.
He's doing it for the people, man.
Well, you said follow along, but follow along in the paste bin in the description below, specifically.
Yeah, thank you for finishing my sentence.
Saying that, I don't know why that's like a mouthful. It fucks me up on every Game Club episode when I have to say that. It's too many words. I don't know.
Behind the scenes, the list is always the thing I think of last. Right, because I mostly gather the news, right? So I always have all of my news tabs open, and then at the end I'm always like, oh no, I forgot to get the list up. What number are we on? What was SteamWorld Dig last week? I don't know. SteamWorld, it wasn't even SteamWorld Dig, it was SteamWorld Heist, which got to 63. But this week, who's adding?
Me, which I realized 5 minutes ago, but that's okay because I know what game I'm adding.
Oh.
Because I'm adding Nier Automata.
Booze?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm look. Look.
Gonna add another 20 minutes to this podcast.
Yeah, strap in.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm adding Nier Automata, which maybe.
All is it played?
Huh? I believe Ren has played it. Not nearly enough.
I have played it. I have not finished it.
He hasn't even finished one. Did you finish at least the first route? I don't think you did.
Path?
Yeah. All right.
No.
So, Brandon has played it, but
Sure.
Yeah. He got off the thoughts. But I believe the rest of us have fully completed this game, right? So Nier Automata. This is a game made, came from the head of Yoko Taro, came from his brain, right? It is a sequel.
Wears a mask.
Very strange man. He works for Square Enix, and he, so Nier Automata is a sequel to Nier on the 360 PS3, which was a cult classic, which is a spin-off of Drakengard, right?
Yep. Sure.
Yeah. And so Nier was this huge cult classic, very much known for amazing music, for the storytelling and the writing and the different routes and how all that came together, right? But it was infamous for playing pretty shittily. Right?
Yes. A lot of frustration to be found.
And that's why it's number 160.
Oh yeah, we have it on the list. So though when Square Enix was like, we're making a sequel, they said, okay, well, we need the gameplay, everything else is good. We have all the good pieces. We just need good combat, right? We need good gameplay. And so who do they go to? Platinum Games. This was a match made in heaven, right? So you have Yoko Taro's amazing storytelling, his amazing character writing, his, you know, you get the music from, I forget the composer's name, but Keiichi Okabe, I think is his name. You get his amazing soundtrack.
Some of the best in the biz.
Seriously, like, this soundtrack is sublime, right?
Man, true. I don't want to interrupt to take away from Nier, but you saying all this makes me wish somebody would take Suda 51 and make it so that, give him a fucking developer that knows how to make a good playing game and just let him write the
story. Yeah, maybe he should go to Platinum. But
that holy trinity of Suda, Swery, and Yoko Taro, just like, I wish I liked playing.
But Automata, you do like playing it. Because the game,
you do.
Like, I'm not going to say this is like one of Platinum's best game playing on all that, right? But it's fun, and it is good enough that, like, I can truly appreciate the rest of this package, right? 2B is one of my favorite characters ever, right? 9S is one of my favorite characters ever, you know? Someone later down the line, one of my favorite characters ever, right? Like, I love the story of this game. This game is one of the very few games to make me emotional, you know? I was like,
one of the few is a meme.
I am someone who will be very dismissive about stories in video games, okay? But Nier Automata it hit me. It hit me. I was like, whoa. This is what you can do with a story in video games, you know? That is how this game made me feel. And it's truly a game that could only be done in this medium, right? Which I think is what I especially appreciate. Like, you could not make Nier Automata a movie or a TV show, you know? It is important that this was an interactive video game to tell the story that it did, you know?
One of my favorite parts, just speaking on that, right, is the side quests, right? You're not like doing crazy things on the side quests, right? But all of the side quests and all the characters on those side quests are all, right? So the wider premise of humanity is or is not gone, right? There are robots, there are androids, they fight each other, right? The androids fight on the behalf of the humans, right? There is... But really, the whole thing is about what is the condition of sentience, right? Like, the human condition is the condition of being able to be aware of yourself. And what does that mean, right? And, like, all of those side quests are about that. They are themed, you know? Like even if they're not tied into the main story, your understanding of the themes of the game are made better by playing the side quests, which in its own way is like as rewarding as any MacGuffin you pick up item-wise, right? And so many games don't do that, right? They're just like, oh, go save a cat. And then you come back and you get gold, right? And then you're like, why do you have to do that when this is over here, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it fundamentally adds to the richness of the world. Like, once you do it like any of the side quests, you feel like more connected to the world and the characters. Like, it does a really good job of doing that, of conveying the themes of the main game within those side quests, like all the, you know, permutations of, you know, the problems with sentience and, you know, what the struggles that they're going with.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes. No, I agree. No. You just said it way better than I could have. Do you guys have anything else to say about it before I...
Yes. The combat, like you said, it's not that special, but I mean, it is stylish. It is satisfying. I do like the customization with your pod. Like, you can do like a lot of strange little things with it. Yeah. And there's even like weird ways you can kill yourself if you take off like certain things out of your pod.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty funny.
And I think the boss. I mean, speaking of the combat, I think the boss battles are actually still like of a high quality,
for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially like the carnal area early on in the game that you go to, right? Like, I love that boss. There's a bunch of stuff that I still think right? Because I think because the story and like the like writing and a lot of the other stuff is so strong, the gameplay, and because Platinum is so well known for their gameplay, right? I think that sort of people most position it as bad. Well, I think it's like good, right? Even like bordering on great, but like it's being compared to best in class.
Yeah, like it's no Bayonetta, but what is a Bayonetta?
And all the other aspects,
you know, in terms of combat, yeah. Right? Like,
so.
And I mean, also like all the different like endings that you get, like after you play the game the first time, it's definitely not over. Like the first time I played, the first route, it feels a little bit unfinished, but then when you start the second route, you get a different perspective, you get more filled in, and then the third route was just the actual end part of the game.
Yeah,
there's a lot to go through. There's it's very affecting.
Yeah,
and effective. Yeah.
And just the moments where, like, the gameplay and the story marry themselves in ways, right, that you're just like, like, when you're doing, like, there's the hacking minigame, right? And some of the stuff you do, the hacking minigame itself is, like, meh, right? Like play, right? It's a twin-stick shooter. But, like, there are some parts where you're doing the hacking minigame, and what you're doing within that context, I was, like, floored. You know, I was just like, man, like, this is so cool. Right?
Yeah, they weave, like, new story, like, surprises in some of the hacking minigames, too.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like, 9S's gameplay, like, makes him significantly stronger against some enemies than 2B could ever be is, really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. This game is just, and, like, and that just goes to show you, like, every bit of, like, even down to the menus, like, the story behind them is just, like, it really all comes together with the final ending of the game, right? But just every little aspect of this game, it comes together in a way that it just like it's a kind of storytelling I've never experienced before. I don't know. It really hit me. Like this is the best game on the PS4. This is one of my favorite games of all time. It's just that I think this is one of the best games ever made. Period.
Yeah.
Well. Yeah. Yeah, I would, maybe. I'm almost with you there. I just wanted to say, like, the environments are fucking gorgeous.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
almost like hauntingly so. Like, they have like so much atmosphere to them. Like, it's really, really cool. Even though there aren't like that many of them, for the most part, yeah.
But like awesome. The thing is, I can remember every set piece in that game, right? And every set piece had like such like. I mean, first of all, a lot of it just had this like grandness to them, right? Especially the theme park, right? But like the fact that I can just so clearly remember each of those places, everything that happened in there, just speaks volumes to that game. And that was one of the best parts of the game, right? It's just like each area just has just a really great story to tell, just in terms of how it looks and how what's been happening over there, just everything about it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This game is very good.
All right. So where do you want to put it then, if it is so good?
See, I'm going to hurt myself because like I know it's not going to get as high as I want, right?
Just say it.
Is he about to say number 2?
I think Nier Automata should be right below Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And quite frankly, I think it should be above Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But that's just not happening, so we can just ignore that. But
also, one little side objection thing. Fucking 2B's outfit. Why?
I think 2B is an amazing character design. It is! Look, I know... it's not even that. I think she just has a... I think, look... This game sold 4 million copies, and 3.5 came from 2B.
From people's horniness.
I don't know. Whatever.
The way I treat horniness is like if there's other things on top of it, right? If it doesn't just exist for horniness sake.
No,
right?
yeah, I know. It's not like a huge complaint.
Yeah.
This is not like a huge fundamental.
And like I do have problems with the game. Like I don't want to say otherwise, right? This is not like a flawless masterpiece, right? I think it's a masterpiece. But, like, there's problems with it, right? Like, I think the open world can get a little dull at sometimes, right? I think that and like I said, the combat isn't like best in class. It's still really good in my opinion. But like, the hacking minigame, sometimes it's a little annoying, right? But like the fact that like I didn't feel any of that playing the game though,
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. This game is fucking incredible. Like,
Right.
Where do you guys want it?
Below Shadow of the Colossus.
Where is it?
Shadow of the Colossus number 6.
How about below Shadow of the Colossus?
I think it should be above Shadow of the Colossus.
I would say above, personally.
Okay.
But I think I would maybe.
I think them being in the same area makes sense. I do think because like Shadow of the Colossus, Shadow of the Colossus is actually most fresh in my mind because I just replayed the game on PS4. And that game is still everything I said about it stands, right? It is a masterpiece. But like I think that the flaws of Shadow of the Colossus though are a little bit more apparent than the Automata, right? Like it is like there is jank to Shadow of the Colossus. I think the jank is I'm of the opinion that it is intentional and that's how it should be, right? But like like controlling the.
You mean climbing?
Like both climbing and like controlling the horse and just everything that the way the game moves is like there's a wonkiness to it. And again, I think that's super intentional, especially when it comes to like actually climbing the colossi, right? That's where it comes in and it turns into this amazing gameplay mechanic. But it is like weird. But I mean, but they're both very, very good games. I would just put Nier Automata right above it. So we good in that?
Okay.
It's fine by me.
Okay.
Well, I mean, don't let the guy tell you otherwise. He likes to have games high on the list. Don't let him trick you. That is me and you, Ills. No, you have Super Metroid at least. Okay. I'm excluded. Feels bad, but I mean, come on, number 6 for Nier Automata. Give it up because surrounding it. You know what? Why not just I'm just gonna do the top 10. Why not? This is our top 10. Except for number 1 and 2 is a problem. Don't worry about it. Number 1/2 jointly shared is Breath of the Wild / Super Metroid. Number 2, 3, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. 4, Dark Souls. 5, RE4. 6, Nier Automata. 7, Shadow of the Colossus. 8, Super Mario Odyssey. 9, Final Fantasy 7. 10, Xenoblade Chronicles. Bye, Paper Mario, the Thousand-Year Door. You're garbage now.
I think that's what that means. Everything below 10 is garbage.
Not quite what I was going for.
I'm the spaceman behind Thousand-Year Door. Always have been.
Yeah, always. There he is. That is the podcast. Who wants to do plugs? Who wants to see us out?
Well, I'll do plugs for you.
Ills?
Okay.
Mozzie wants to see it.
Yeah, I guess. All right. I mean, I always do. I just feel bad. All right.
Well,
no, I'll do it. I'll see you, Sal. How about that?
Yeah, how about it? How about that, motherfucker?
Yeah.
And if you enjoyed Jump Up Supercast, go ahead, check us out on wherever you listen to podcasts. What you listening to it on now? Fucking check us out. Check the rest of the episodes out. We're also on SoundCloud, iTunes, and we're on YouTube as well. New episodes go up every single Monday and every other Thursday. You also get a little bonus. We have the Jump Up Supercast Game Club that I host every other week. And also I'm always joined by Ills and our other friend Noah. We play video games and we talk about one game. So we play a different game every other week. So give us a like, give us a share. Feel free to let us know what was your favorite game on the Xbox Game Showcase. Are you mad about Nintendo? Do you want to hear what Nintendo's games are, just like the rest of us? What fucking games are you going to be playing? Because we don't know. Nintendo don't know. Nobody fucking knows. But let us know down in the comments. And support us if you want. You know, if you like what we do have a Patreon where for just $1 a month, you get the chance to choose one of our Game Club games that we play every round. You can also get access to our Discord server where we just make fools of ourselves and talk about games and stuff. So if you want to talk games with us, $1 a month. And you also support the podcast, so we really appreciate it. And you can keep up to date with everything else Jump Up Supercast related by going on social media. We have Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So hit us up there and get posted on when new episodes go up. And you can even catch us streaming on twitch.tv/JumpUpSupercast sometimes. So follow us if you want to know when we're playing games. And thanks, guys, for listening. We really appreciate it. We appreciate every single one of you. And I appreciate the rest of my friends who are on the podcast with me. So, William, why don't you take us away?
You know, a lesson that I've learned in the last few months, just in general, right? Free yourself from the discourse. It doesn't do any good for you, you know? And so in video games, you know one thing that I respect about Ills? Ills just plays games. He doesn't care like when they came out or whatever. He just plays the game that he feels is appropriate, play it this time. And I think there's a lot of value to that, right? Some of my happiest times in playing video games have been times where like there wasn't a lot of new releases, but I was just going back to things that I know I had missed and I knew I would enjoy, right? And sometimes going back to just games I already played and I'm like, man, it'd be fun to replay that, right? So in these times where you're starving, right? Because you know, it's gonna be a lull until November, right? It might be a lull after that. We're in the middle of a pandemic, son of a gun. What are you gonna do, right? Sometimes it's okay, look backwards, right? Sometimes it's okay to dip into that nostalgia hole. Dip into the things that you know you would like that you let slip by, right? Because they're not going anywhere and they'll be there for you. So why not play a video game or two? It doesn't have to be new.